This is James Altucher reading the book Think Like a Billionaire by me. So as a little bit of a pre-introduction, I've interviewed probably more billionaires than anyone else on the planet because I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn about their habits, what drives them, and this book, Think Like a Billionaire, is the result. So I'm going to begin reading the book now. Introduction. I'm not a billionaire. So why am I writing a book called Think Like a Billionaire? I often write about things that I am fascinated by and things that I had to learn the hard way. For instance, when I wrote The Power of No, it wasn't because I was such a genius at saying no. It was because actually saying no is really hard for me to do. I had to learn over and over and over again when it was correct to say no. I kept saying yes to things that made me unhappy. This was sending me in the wrong direction in life. Learning how to say no, which led to more creativity, achievement, friends, and even freedom in my life, became important to me. The adventures I went on in my quest to gain the power of no was what I wrote about. In several of my books, I've written about my story, how I made money, and then went broke so many times, and then bounced back. I've been depressed, suicidal, scared, even terrified. I had 2 kids to feed because I wanted to be happy in life. I wanted to pursue goals and dreams about things that I loved. I didn't want people to say no to my dreams. I wanted to be healthy and have friends and fall in love, to follow my passions and have financial success. It's a cliche to say, but we only have one life, and it is, in fact, pretty short. If you spend your whole life in pursuit of money, then can you say that you've had a good life? What if your passion was music, or writing, or spending more time with friends? Well, before writing this book, I interviewed over a dozen billionaires, around 20 billionaires, coming from every possible background. I've also spoken with hundreds of other people who are the best in the world at what they do. I found that they have many things in common. A billionaire knows how to make money, and they have very specific habits that have helped them make that money. Still, every single one of the billionaires in this book did not sacrifice their passions to make their money. Instead, they all knew they would make a lot of money if they found a passion that could put them on the right path. That if someone did these same things, then every opportunity is possible. Every goal is achievable. But I don't believe there's one technique for anything. We all go on adventures in our questions. The question is, are we the hero of our stories or just a side character? Achieving the billionaire mindset. Becoming the hero of the story. I don't know how to define success. I guess there are many definitions. The impact you have on the world, your level of happiness, perhaps some degree of financial success, achieving a title or an award. Much of success is fleeting. You win an award and you wake up the next day and wonder, well, what's next? It's not the success that makes one achieve impact, nor is it just habits. I don't like the word habit. A habit might be something like tie your shoes every day, or look both ways before you cross the street, or make your bed in the morning. Out of the hundreds of billionaires and other people of world-class success that I interviewed, it wasn't simply good habits that brought them the success they deserved. It was something else. It was a particular set of what I'm going to call meta skills that they slowly developed over time that allowed them to take any situation and make it work for them. At any given point, the world is telling you what to do, or you are telling the world what to do. The meta skills this book will describe are what will change you from being an innocent bystander who is thrust around by the events happening all around you to the hero of the story that is being told by the world. What does this mean for you? You'll experience the arc of the hero. Joseph Campbell describes this in his book, The Hero's Journey, but I'm going to summarize it right now. It's the journey that can take you from being stuck in wherever your life is to becoming unstuck. It's what took Sarah Blakely from selling fax machines door to door to changing the way women all over the world look at themselves. It's what took Peter Thiel from being imprisoned by his cushy job at one of the top law firms in the country, where he could have risen up to the top and made millions, to creating some of the most important companies on the planet. PayPal, Facebook, where he was the first investor, Palantir, among others. It's what took Richard Branson from being upset about a canceled plane to making Virgin Galactic, which will eventually pioneer the field of space tourism. So, to summarize what the arc of the hero is, this is the arc of the hero. A. Struggling with their current situation. Not sure what to do. B. A call to action. Perhaps a disaster happens, or a wish is unfulfilled, or a mysterious invitation, or an urging of the heart. It's basically This call from the ordinary world into what we'll now call the extraordinary world. C. The journey begins. The hero meets new friends who will help them along the way. D. Obstacles mount, trying to force our hero to leave the arc and go back to being a bystander, go back to being stuck in a cubicle. E. And finally, the greatest obstacle of all, which our hero, against all odds, defeats. F. Then the journey home, where our hero is a changed person, ready to take their new knowledge and skills to go on even greater adventures and arcs and stories and create an even greater impact. Think about it. This is exactly what happened in the movie Star Wars, one of my all-time favorite movies. First thing, call to action. Luke wants to go into space. His uncle says no, needs him on the farm for another year. B. Luke sees a hologram of a princess who needs help, and then his aunt and uncle are killed by stormtroopers. C. He meets his mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Then he meets new friends, Han Solo, Chewbacca. He faces greater and greater obstacles, escaping from stormtroopers, freeing Princess Leia, getting off the Death Star, all the while learning the skills to do this, learning the Force. Finally, with his friend's help and with the help of his new skills, he is able to destroy the Death Star. He returns home, not just to receive a medal, but to get ready for the further adventures ahead. The arc of the hero never ends. So the question is, let me ask you this. Are you the hero in your story? I wonder often if I am. I try to be. I don't want to be a bystander. I don't want to be stuck. But it's difficult. I always have to ask, am I somewhere on this arc? Because if I'm not, then I'm not the hero of the story being told. I'm just a character in someone else's story. What I learned most of all from the many billionaires and successful people I spoke with is that they knew which skills would keep them the hero of their story. They recognized when they weren't the hero, and they knew how to get themselves back on the arc. This was the main thing in common with all of them. Of course, there were specific skills they all had in common as well, and you'll discover them throughout this book. But quietly, they always knew that there was a story about the world written just for them. And they participated in that story to the fullest extent possible. This doesn't mean finding your purpose or finding your passion. This means living with purpose, even if you don't know exactly what that purpose or passion is. So let's start with, what are the meta skills that these successful people, these heroes of their own stories, what are these meta skills they've used to achieve their great success? Here's some of the ones that I've identified. Values, persistence, patience. Here's a skill that I call ready, fire, aim. Obsession, talent, sex, and I'll explain what that means later. Vision, persuasion, empathy, problem solving. What do these skills mean? I'm going to write more about them along the way, but stick with me. Why aren't these the same as habits? We always hear, if you have good habits, you'll be successful. This simply is not true. I can jog every day, eat healthy, write down 10 ideas, be good to my kids, etc. Those are good habits. That's fine. Have good habits. But things like ready, fire, aim, which will be discussed in later chapters, take it one step further. This is a skill that needs to be improved every day. If you improve a skill 1% per day, then through compounding, it gets 37 times better in a year. 3,700% better. People sometimes say, oh, you're doing the math wrong. It's 365% better. Nope. Compound means that every day you're doing 1% to what you were the day before. So that's amazing. You get 37 times better at a skill. So just as an example, it's hard to quantify 1% sometimes. So if you want to play better tennis every day, you could get a teacher and you could study videos and you could go out on the tennis court and you could improve your serve, you could improve your forehand, you could improve your backhand. And if you get a sense, hey, I'm 1% better, I'm a tiny, tiny bit better at my forehand today than I was yesterday, then that's great. Because after a year, you're going to be 3,700% better than you were at the beginning of the year. I've noticed this for myself. This is true for investing, entrepreneurship, sales, even games like chess or poker, or even skills like writing, stand-up comedy, podcasting, being a parent. So even if you can't quantify 1%, you'll get a sense when you're just 1%, a tiny bit better at something you love, just a little bit better than you were the day before. And again, this is more than just repeating a habit. It's literally a technique for building superpowers. But one can ask, is having vision, for instance, really a skill? Yes it is. For instance, having a vision about how airlines could be run better means learning as deeply as possible the history of air travel, the history of all airlines, all the possibilities of customer experience, the science and mechanics of airplanes, and how to communicate your new vision to others. It's like a magic trick to take this idea that is burning so strongly in your head and somehow transport it into the heads of others, like investors, partners, employees, customers, media. This is not a habit. It's not like brush your teeth every day. Learning the skill of having a vision is something that must be developed deeper and deeper and deeper every day. You can't simply learn how to communicate with people better and then it's all done. It's a process of trial and error. Try and fail. Try and fail. Try and fail again until learning to communicate a vision finally goes from bad to mediocre to better to good to great. And then keep on going until you're the best. This is what creates the superpowers needed for success. And yes, they need to be superpowers because there are 7 billion people on the planet. And they all want to go from stuck to unstuck. And although the resources of success are mostly infinite, that's still a lot of competition. You have to compound the skills outlined above to stand out above everyone else to become the hero of the story.